For our first unit of the third trimester, we will be studying about quadratic equations and their graphs, which are called parabolas. We will actually be covering this over 2 units, and we will take 2 tests regarding this material. We're starting out our first lesson with what are called diamond problems. And you've probably seen these before. But basically, we set up a diamond, and there'll be numbers inside it. And there's a pattern that goes with them. The 2 numbers that are on the sides of the diamond, when I multiply them together, I will get the number that's at the top of the diamond. When I add them together, I get the number that's on the bottom. So 3 times 4 is 12. 3 plus 4 is 7. So if I want to write this using variables, if the side is A and B, the top would be A times B, the bottom would be A plus B. Being careful, of course, if A and B are negative, that can affect your answers for either the top or the bottom. So if you want to look at the note sheet, this first problem has a 4 on the left and a 5 on the right. So by following our pattern, I would do 4 times 5, which would give me 20 in the top square, and 4 plus 5 is 9 on the bottom. So it's kind of like a little game. Number 2, again, you're going to multiply these 2 together to get the top. So negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. And of course it's negative because the 3 is negative. And when I add them together, negative 3 plus 8 is positive 5. So you need to be careful on these to be sure that you know when answers are negative or positive. Now, when I give you the 2 side numbers, it's fairly straightforward. Simply multiply to get the top, add to get the bottom. Sometimes I will leave numbers out that are not the top and bottom. On this one, number 3, I've given you a side number 3 and the top number 12. And we know that 3 times whatever's over here should give me 12. So of course, 3 times 4 would give us 12. And then I can do 3 plus 4 is 7. A trick on this one, if you have the top number and one of the sides, is you can simply divide the top number by a side to get the other. Number 4, I'm given the bottom number and a side number. Again, these 2 added together would give me the bottom. So if this side's 5, this side must be 4, because 4 plus 5 would give me 9. And 4 times 5, of course, would give me 20. The trick on these, if I give you the bottom number and one of the sides, is to subtract. So if you have the top number and one of the sides, you can divide to find the missing side. If you have the bottom number and one of the sides, you can subtract. Now, number 5, I've given you the top number and the bottom number, but neither of the side numbers. So now this requires a little bit of thought. You have to think of what 2 numbers would multiply to be 24, but add to be 10. One way to do this problem is to take 24, the top number, write it down, and just think of all the ways that you can multiply 2 numbers together where their answer is 24. So things like 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. Now, these are called the factors of 24, 2 numbers that would multiply to be that answer. Now I just need to look at those pairs and decide which ones would add up to 10. I think it's pretty easy to see that 4 plus 6 would be 10, and 4 times 6 would be 24. Now, it does not matter which number you write in either square. I could have wrote the 6 here and the 4 here. Sometimes when entering into Moodle, though, I will ask you to type in the lowest number first and the highest number second. So just be careful about that. Now, number 6, same idea. I'm missing the 2 side numbers, which you're given the top and the bottom. So I need two numbers that multiply to be negative 18, but add up to be 3. One of the hints I can tell you on this one is that if the top number is negative, that means one of the two sides must be negative. Okay? They both can't be negative because if they were both negative, when I multiplied them together, I would get a positive number up here. So if the top number is negative, I know that one of these two numbers must be negative as well. So again, what I would do is take negative 18 and write it over here. Think of all the ways to multiply two numbers together that would give me 18. So like 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. Now, since I need negative 18, that means one of the pairs of these numbers will be negative. Here's where the 3 is going to come into play. When I combine these two numbers using addition, I need to end up with positive 3. So the only one that would allow me to do that is the 6 and 3. And I need to make one of them negative. So if I make the 3 negative, negative 3 plus 6 would give me 3. And negative 3 times 6 would give me negative 18. So when doing diamond problems, remember the pattern. A and B on the side. The top is A times B. The bottom is A plus B. A useful tool you can use when working on diamond problems is called a factor chart. This is a factor chart for the numbers 1 through 60 on this side, and when you flip it over to the back, it goes all the way to 100. This can be used to help you find the factors that would be answers to a diamond problem. For instance, let's say the diamond problem was this. I have a 20 on the top and a 9 on the bottom. I know that my two side numbers have to multiply to be 20 and add to be 9. If I can't think of them just off the top of my head, our strategy was to write down the number 20 and think of all the ways that we can multiply two numbers together to get it. Like 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. If you're having trouble thinking of these, that's where the factor chart can come in handy. On the factor chart, if I find 20, below that are all the possible factors, and they are the same ones that we thought of before. 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. So the factor chart is a good way to find out what your options are. And then, of course, you still need to pick the ones that would satisfy the diamond, adding up to 9 and multiplying to be 20.